All right, my first step, filling out my UVs, is I'm going to clean up all the extra stuff in my scene and organize the individual pieces that remain. Gonna delete the layer and then organize them all in their different layers so I can then decide which ones go into which materials group. Optimize scene size. I'll clear out anything that's not being used, hopefully. All right, so I'm going to have one layer for all the bits that are actual snail. One bit for the central armor. Just one. Do I want to include these or include those in the show with the arms? I think I'll leave those in the arms. May or may not put these in the legs. I'll start with them separate and see how my distribution of pixels goes later. Arms, armor, layer. There's so little of the legs. Might just put them in there. I call this my limbs armor layer. Chainmail layer. I'll just put this into like a fabric layer, I guess. Fabric and leather, whatever. There. And now I can start laying out the UVs in the different parts. I'll begin by just grabbing everything here and throw a planer on all of it. UV 3D cut and sew. I deliberately put a kind of a little bit of a demarcation here, so I might just cut along that. No one's going to see this high up, so I might as well cut that bit off. Let's see how that lays out in my UV editor. The underside, that's the top side. The UVs look not bad. I think I can get away with that. And I'm going to place a material on these as I lay out the UVs to do two things. One, to indicate that this object has been finished. And two, I want each one of these layers to have their own material so that when I bring it into Substance Painter, they'll be broken up into different material layers in Substance Painter as well. It does not notice these layers. It only cares about materials. So I'm just going to throw a blend on there because it doesn't really matter. It's a temporary thing. And I'll call that Snail. And the colors I'm going to put on right now don't matter either. I just use bright colors to say that, oh, this is very obviously finished now. And make my life a little bit easier, I might as well turn on my symmetry as well. May not need it for this one, but I'll probably need it eventually. Oh, there's the cut and sew in my shelf. And let's see if that unfolds neatly. Well, the squares look like squares. That's what I'm aiming for. At most, there's a little bit of distortion in the back, right around here, but has to be hidden anyway, so what do I care? Eyeballs, I typically just cut in the front and back. Unfold that. Best as it's going to get, I guess. The mesh transfer attributes. Transfer my UVs based on their components. There. Now they're both exactly the same, rather than having to do them both twice. Normally, I would give the eyeballs their own material so I could have more detail on them, but these are just me shiny black balls in the middle of the eye stalks, so it doesn't seem like it's worth the trouble to me. Really want to cut the entire thing, though. It's going to make the front look kind of weird. Maybe if I do the front and back instead. Less likely to see the seams that way. Stalk will cut down the middle. Actually, I should probably combine those two together and make uh, rigging easier. I'll do that in a minute. Now, because I mirrored them, one side is going to be backwards. Try to redo the layout again. The red ones here are backwards, the blue ones are forwards. See these two little buttons right there, switch that back and forth. So I'm going to select all my red ones right here. Oops. Turn off the mirror first. And then under transform, there it is. Flip those. There we go. Now there's no backwards UVs. That's better. This, of course, is going to be a lot of fun. Spirals, always very easy to lay out UVs for spirals, he says sarcastically. And I need to get rid of the creased edges so I can see what I'm doing here. Mesh tools, crease tool, middle mouse drag to the left. There we go. So now that line right there is the one that I've cut. And I think I'll cut this one more time right here. No, more to the left. Try and make it centralized. I'm just going to cut and see how that lays out after I unfold it. I may have to cut more. I may be able to sew stuff together. We'll see. Unfold. To be honest, this would be easier to paint later on if it was a straight line, I think, but I can live with it this way. And now let's see if I can stitch some of these together. Get in here first. There it is. Oh, dang it, missed. There we go. That far to start with. So, stitch together. Unfold. See how much of this I can stitch back together. Let me turn the checkerboard again. Squares still look square, in spite of everything. How much of this can I get away with before things start getting really bad? Let's find out. You know what? It's still doing pretty good. Look at the last few edges. I should have hide the seam pretty well. Yeah, the squares look pretty square still. It's kind of surprising to me, to be honest. Grab everything, hit my layout button, and there it all is. Can you even see this part? Is it worth existing? No, it's not. I'm going to try deleting those faces. And if those are gone, these might as well go as well. See what happens if I lay it out now. Little to no difference. Just a double check. 96. I do have shell padding and tile padding. Good. Wonder if I change the angle on this, if I could make it fit better in here. Oh, look at that. A lot less wasted space now. About the same. All right. Leave my history on that. And make sure I save my scene. 27 UVs. And just so I don't forget about doing this in a little while. Display soften harden edges. That's better. All right. On to the UVs. This one gets a blend. The history. Central armor. Pick a color. Doesn't matter what the color is. Still got those creased edges on here. I don't need to keep those. Different colors here indicate that these are separate UVs. That means they've been cut off from the rest of the UVs. Although sometimes they use very similar shades. So these look like they're both blue, but they're probably slightly different shades of blue. So that's fine. Same thing there. Unfold, orient layout. Which part is this? Oh, that's that thing right there. I should probably cut these out and find some place I can cut this. I could probably get away with it right here. So let's like it for anyone to see that little bitty bit right there. So there's easy to recognize for what they are. I just need to leave that on there. Oops. Apparently deleted something at some point. Whoa, what happened here? Oh dear. Something got badly messed up. How much of this can I just delete and never think about again? Or do anything when it's saved seen as? Don't know what's wrong with that face, but something is. Not sure what I did wrong there, but I think I got fixed. Let's get back to doing the UVs now. Hang on. That's going to cause problems if I just leave it alone. Good enough. Tell it's good or not. It is. All right. You know what? What I might just do is delete the back sides of these because no one's ever going to see them. Okay, do that one. That looks about right. Turn that off so it's a little bit easier for me to see what I'm doing. I cut off the strip but leave the back part on because I'm going to assume that this is just a painted over it. Oh, I see one of those, and this one's not all the way cut off either. We need that cut off. Ah, there it is. More sense for these to be standing up. That is the angle they're in, the model. Not necessary, but I tend to do it anyway. Again, I'm going to get rid of the creases. It would seem that I didn't crease that up there, so that's why it's stretched out so far. Let's pull that up. It was an easy one. I think I misspelled central. There you go. That'll annoy me if I don't fix it. Grab everything, lay these all out together in one section. And of course, I left creases in everything, just in case I decide to go back and round them out again. Leaving them in is going to make it really hard to see where the cuts are because they look exactly the same. There, should make it easier to deal with. I did notice something earlier. I go to symmetry, select all these. Some of these aren't being selected. I think these are slightly asymmetrical. Before I have to deal with that, I'm just going to delete one side, mirror the other side. Now what happens? They're good now. All right. Oh, goody. These aren't symmetrical either. Delete one side. And which side is missing? Left side. It's easy. Flip them. Oh, because I deleted the inside, these are probably lay out pretty easily. But I do need to deal with the endpoints, ends of the fingers, because I doubt that's gonna unfold neatly the way it is. I might just cut all the way up like that. No, be easier. I think just cut them in half. Yeah, that'll be better. If it's seaming along their front, I might as well have it where it's being hit by the sides of the other fingers. There you go. And once again, this is completely unnecessary. There's no point to me rotating all of these like this because they're not going to have any sort of directionality in the texture that I'll put on them later. At least I don't think there will be. But just in case, I don't have to worry about it. see how this lays out before I do anything else, just to see if it's a real mess or not. Yeah, I should definitely cut that part. Okay, this is a mess. Should probably just cut that piece off entirely. Might make it go a little smoother. Oops. Got to turn my symmetry back on again. Easy fix. Let's turn this back on this time. See how much of this is covered by the armor. If I cut anywhere inside of there, about here. Yeah, that'll work. Problem with using the geometry that came with Maya. Hands are a bit weird sometimes. Kinda wishing I had redone this myself. I'll take that as good enough. So maybe what I could do, cut back a little bit further. Slightly less weird at least. No one's gonna see that. Just see how that unfolds before I decide to cut up any more than I already need to. Oops, let me do this top part first. I think I'd rather cut them off. Any kind of awkward UVs there. So, where do I want to cut them? Normally I would cut on the back, but this part's gonna be covered up by the armored toes anyway, so I can probably get away with cutting these here. All right, I'll save this. There's one more thing I want to do just to check up here in my transform section. There's a bit on texel density. Let's get my texel density. All right, it's 25. Check this one. 22. And the goal here is to keep them all roughly. Oops, apparently I removed that one from there. So let me just re-add that back in again. Let me recheck my chainmail. Not sure how I did that, but I did. Still in the 20s. Good. The goal is to keep them as close as possible, but not necessarily exact. You're never going to get them exact. Life doesn't work that way. You can see this is a bit off of the 20s, but short. That means that there's going to be fewer pixels per like square inch on the actual model. But as long as it's not a ridiculous difference, like if one had been 20 and the other had been 5, that I would have been worried about. I can probably survive that much. It's dropping an awful lot, but let's see here. I'm expecting this to be pretty low. Oh, that's within reason. Now maybe I'll grab these shoulders and add them to the central. Grab these. Layout again. See how that goes. That's a little higher now. Check my central. Lay these out again. That did not really help the central at all, did it? Anything here? Maybe I could get rid of that. Please spread out a bit better. I'm going to undo all that. Check that again. 17 versus 16. I'll live with it. Only one that's really low is the snail shell and body. Honestly, I wasn't expecting much from that one. Actually, that was not super low either. I guess it was just this one was kind of low. I guess it might not be that those are low. Maybe this one's just high because there's so little in it. Because there's so few bits that it can take up a lot of the space in here. So it feels kind of weird to make this be such a high pixel density area. Because there's so little of this compared to everything else. If I were to put this all into one and check that, that's now 16. That's roughly 17, so that puts it close to where all the others are, actually. See, the thing is, if you have one area that's really high texel density and one area that's really low texel density, it can be kind of obvious that the resolution is different from one part to the next. So the more I can keep this all the same thing, the better. So I might just put this all under fabric and get rid of the chainmail and just actually to optimize, make sure that material is gone too. All right, now they're all roughly within 16 to 17. Yeah, that works. Now, the way I've laid out the UVs, I'm really not going to need to worry about material IDs for this one. So I'm going to skip that. And in the next video, I'll be heading straight into Substance Painter.